Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto becomes the new god of war? Part 4. Subscribe if you enjoy the video. Let's start the story. The audience was stunned, as the civilians thought that the Hyuga prodigy would kill the demon brat, and the shinobi were shocked to see how merciless, for lack of a better word, that Naruto handled it. Orochimaru was sweating, and he heard of the god of war, even if his era was long before the great remaking of the world. It seems that the line of Kratos still exists. I must be wary of that boy. Sarutobi saw the reactions of the civilians and thought, how does it feel? To know that the one you showed so much hatred to over the years is finally striking back, foolish little bastards. Enko looked over and saw Kushina's face imitating a tomato, and she asked, are you feeling alright, Kushina-sama? Kushina shook her head free of thoughts and said, yes, I'm fine, just shocked at my Sachi's match, that's all. Seeing no way to argue, Anko leaned back in her seat and thought, yeah right, shocked my ass, if I didn't know better, it would seem that Kushina-sama is falling for Naruto-kun, then again, she can't call herself his mom, friend maybe, but mom, I doubt it highly. Temari and Kankuro were seriously thinking of telling the Suna forces to back out as they heard legends of the god of war and his home in Sparta. For no one who ever invaded a Spartan home left it alive. They then heard shivering and looked over at Gaara and saw him staring down at Naruto, and what they did not hear was Shukaku screaming at her host, saying, now's the time dear, a descendant of Lord Kratos has revealed himself, now you can show your true self. Gaara shivered, but not in fear, but in excitement, for the Suna Jinchuriki held a secret of her own. While in the womb she was a he, but due to Shukaku being sealed within her at the time, Shukaku caused an improvised sex change, a fact that the demon both told her container and apologized for. The reason for her going crazy at times of the full moon were simple, if a little anticlimactic. The full moon was during the week of Shukaku's period. And like all hormonal women at that time, she was far more irritable. Sadly the sound Gen and Dosu learned that the hard way. Stadium floor. Neji was surrounded by medics, a few of them glaring at Naruto for doing this much damage in the first place. Naruto scanned the stands for reactions and saw a few of the Jonin and Chunin clapping and cheering, Kushina, Anko, Hinata, Kin, and Haku being the loudest. This caused Naruto to smirk and he heard, Naruto-san, please, let me ask one last question. Naruto turned and saw Neji on his hands and knees, a surprise to any who knew him or his clan. He then asked, why did you spare my life? I understand what I have done. I tried to instill fear in Lady Hinata and, as I felt, I saw exactly what I had done and so my life should not have been spared, but why did you? Naruto turned to walk away and, as a deathly silence came over the stadium, they heard, because of the only thing she had to overcome the fear, hope. It was her hope that your clan would be united and that seal on your head would be gone. I may despise you for what you did, but I will not kill you, as it would sadden Hinata-chan, something I wish to avoid. Hinata felt eyes on her from Enko, who smiled and thought, seems I won the bet, Kurenai never should have bet me if Naruto-kun noticed or not. But I have a feeling something nuts is about to happen. Neji was placed on a stretcher and, as he passed Naruto, he gave a look of apology, to which Naruto nodded. Hiashi sat with the rest of the elders and Hanabi, his youngest daughter asked Otu-san, the elders said that blonde boy would lose, but he won, why? Hiashi smirked and he said for the elders to hear because Hanabi, Neji was stuck in the elders' foolish ideals. They filled his head with lies and deceit, sadly filling this clan with more of the arrogance your late mother despised. Perhaps one day, you or your sister will be able to change this clan for the better. The elders looked at him as if he spoke a blasphemy, but none were foolish enough to call him on it as it would enforce his words, not refute them. Stadium stairwell. Naruto walked up the stairs calmly and to his surprise, saw Gaara waiting for him. He said, hello Gaara-san, I take it you enjoyed the match. He saw Gaara nod and to his surprise, with a light blush. Gaara took a step forward and Naruto noticed sand coming off, literal chunks falling off and showing something surprising. Instead of short red hair, it came down past her shoulders and her body shape reminded Naruto of the Hercules the Suna symbol is similar to. He then asked, my Naruto-san, why are you so surprised? Naruto cleared his throat and said, your sand sure can hide a lot, right? He saw Gaara walk closer and said, Naruto-san, I need to confirm something. Would you please look at the cage box and check the scent of my father? Naruto had to shiver at how much venom was put into the word father. He walked to where he could smell the scent coming downwind and said, he smells of snakes and mud, I hate to tell you, but that's not your father. He turned and saw a lone tear going down Gaara's face and he asked, what's wrong? Next thing he knew, Gaara was clutching his chest and said, it's not, he smells of scorpions and sand. He said he was gonna back out, but she felt a hand on her head and Naruto said, warn all of the Suna forces, you've been tricked. we need to warn your brother and sister. After remembering how she looked, he asked, are you gonna put that armor back on? Or just leave it off? His answer was a long kiss to the lips, and she said, will that do? Nodding dumbly, he followed her back up to the box, and they saw Tamari and Shikamaru facing off, and Kankuro looked at them and asked, have you seen Gaara anywhere? He heard a cough from the retreat, and Naruto said, yeah, I have, and it seems the three of you will need to clear some things up, but for now, you need to go warn the Suna ninja that you have around the village. Your village is being played by Orochimaru. Kankuro was about to yell about betraying the village, but the look in his younger bro sister's eyes spoke otherwise, and he quickly nodded and ran as fast as he could. Gaara was still clutching Naruto's chest, and Naruto felt his mind haze over. Naruto and Gaara's linked mindscape. Naruto and Gaara saw themselves in a sort of desert, the sand rising at a point, changing into the form of Shukaku. She looked down at the two and said, it is an honor to meet a descendant of the god of war. I brought you both down here for a reason, one which shall benefit us both. As you may know, the gods of Olympus have returned. It was Nibi who can sense those passing to and from the afterlife who warned us. The only one unable to know of this fact was you, as your seal prevents us from communicating with Kyuubi-sama. Naruto looked up and asked, but how were the gods able to return? They died, didn't they? Shukaku nodded but said, that may be, but they were entrapped in Tartarus, but now it is called the Inferno. After Kratos caused the world to be remade, the structure of Hades changed, and Lucifer, a fallen angel, took over Hades after a failed attempt to take down Kami. Because of the failure, he was cast down from the true heaven, and thus the Inferno was born. But I'm rambling, it seems Zeus made a deal with Lucifer. To be allowed free passage out of hell, in exchange for you, she points a giant finger at Naruto, to be killed and dragged to the Inferno for what your family has done. Naruto blinked and asked, my family? What do they have to do with any of this? Shukaku laughed, it sounded like an earthquake the entire time. She then said, Kratos' line is known to be a cursed and destructive line, but the only ones destroyed were the gods on Olympus, and the only goddess he killed was Hera, but she was a total bitch. Anyway, if you trace the line back far enough, two other warriors can be traced to you, each powerful in their own right. Dante Alighieri, the crusader whose sins nearly cost him, and the one he loved their souls, only to repent them on a pilgrimage through the Inferno. The Red Horseman War, who fought angel, demon, and human alike, he who was blamed for the early start of the Second World's End, only to fight his way to discover the truth. Now do you see? Your family has been a thorn in the sides of many dangerous people, one which they so desperately tried to have removed. But we the Bijuu support you Naruto-sama, and I will tell the other 7 to look out for you my lord. Shukaku performed an odd version of a bow, which Naruto returned, and, as both of them faded out, Shukaku thought, be strong Naruto-sama, for even Gaia herself has not let go of her fury. Stadium competitors box. Naruto and Gaara shook their heads, and Naruto heard Kyuubi say, why were you in here, head love? I couldn't hear a thing. Naruto merely responded, saying, we will have much to discuss once this is over. He felt Kyuubi nod, and Gaara said, it seems the Uchiha finally arrived. I will be back shortly, but I will try to stall, as long as I can. She gave him a peck on the cheek, surprising him, and Saya, who watched from a corner of the room. As Gaara passed, Saya walked up to Naruto and asked, what happened? I thought Gaara-sen was a guy. Naruto shook his head and said, there is far more going on than we know. As to what it is, I do not know. Stadium floor. Gaara stood on the arena floor, the audience confused by the change of appearance, but when they saw Sasuke, they were more than surprised. They saw he wore gold armlets and shin guard similar to Zeus, but he wore a mostly black jumpsuit and his hair was longer. He looked at Gaara and said, so the sand demon is a little bitch huh? It doesn't matter, I'll kill you in front of everyone and show what a freak you are. Shukaku was screaming to kill the boy as his armor showed he was in league with Zeus, to which Gaara agreed. Genma stood at the ready and when he saw they were done talking, he said, let the match begin. Gaara quickly had her sand flow out, attacking Sasuke like an angry serpent. He dodged the oncoming attacks and held out a hand, holding a lightning bolt, which made Naruto's eyes widen. Sasuke then threw the bolt, which went right through Gaara's sand and barely pierced her armor. Naruto was gripping the railing, anger on his face evident. Sasuke, seeing as the technique went through the sand, started to sling bolt after bolt, his face clearly showing insanity. Stadium stands. Kakashi looked on in horror, as well he did not know where Sasuke learned it, he did not know where Sasuke went during the month, many believed that Orochimaru had him, but the truth was, Zeus handled the training. Shukaku was afraid, Naruto was furious, but Sakura had a shit-eating grin on her face, as she thought, now Sasuke-sama is showing that demon bitch who's boss, and soon, we'll kill that bastard Naruto, just have to be patient. Anko was thinking, something's wrong, that move is breaking through the sand brat's armor, and not even that Lee kid could pull that off. Kushina was looking between Naruto and Gaara as she saw his worried expression and thought, it must hurt seeing a friend be treated as such, but when did they become friends? Kakashi was having enough of this, if this doesn't end soon, I will kill Sasuke myself, so help me Kami. Arena floor. Gaara felt a deep sting in her shoulder and she slowly turned her head to look at the source. It was a lightning bolt in her shoulder, leaving a deep wound. Well, it wasn't at her heart, if she didn't get it out, the electricity would kill her. She quickly ripped out the bolt, blood pouring from the wound, which Shukaku quickly closed up. The next thing anyone knew was that an explosion occurred in the cage box, and she knew, the invasion has begun. I hope Kankuro managed to stop everyone. Stadium competitor box. Kankuro ran into the box to see the plan already in motion, but he said, I got to them in time, the Suna ninja have gone back to the village. Temari looked relieved, having been filled in on what's happening. Naruto saw Sasuke about to attack Gaara when he jumped down, drew out the blades of Athena, and attacked Sasuke, blocking his path. Sasuke scoffed and said, so I guess it's true, demons protect their own kind. He then disappeared, leaving a dark chuckle behind. Naruto heard Gaara gasp and quickly went to her side. He saw the wound, as did Temari and Kankuro, and Naruto said, get her somewhere safe, she can't fight with this wound. Gaara looked Naruto in the eyes and he said, you heard me, you can't fight, don't worry. I'm too strong to die. Gaara smiled as her brother and sister took her away. Naruto then gained an angry expression on his face. He then called out, Shadow Clone. He created 7 clones, each holding a weapon. He felt Kiba and Sakura approaching behind him and he said to his clones, Spartans, let us show these fools what we are made of. Let us show them why it is that a Spartan's home is never invaded without dear cost. To arms my brothers, to arms. The clones grabbed their respective weapons and with a shout of Aru they ran into the village and began killing any sound ninja they saw. Naruto then turned and saw Kiba and Sakura ready to fight. He then scoffed and said, you fucking traitors, I will enjoy killing you again. And this time, Hades will not be able to bring you back. Naruto readied the blades of Athena as his clones took all the other weapons he could use. If there was ever a time he could finish them all in one go, this was it. Sakura and Kiba tried to flank him, but he started to spin, divine reckoning they crashed into the tornado, which was on a far larger scale than before, and before they fell onto the ground, he stabbed them both in the stomachs, which Tsume saw. She bowed her head at the loss of her son, but she saw him attack Naruto with the intent to kill. Naruto dropped their bodies off of his blades and ran to check on his mother. When he got to the stands, he saw Kushina standing over a pile of bodies, each of them sounding ninja, a blood-stained katana in hand. Naruto smiled as he saw his mother was okay, he quickly left, but not before looking back for a second, a blush on his face, as he left. Cage box. Sarutobi was shocked to see that it was Orochimaru, his old student behind the cage ropes. Dealing with the snake himself was proving to be quite a burden on the old monkey, but it only grew worse once 2 of the 3 cages before him were brought back. Thankfully he stopped Yondaime from coming back, otherwise he'd be a dead man already. Even Enma didn't help much, as the summon took more of his limited chakra. Resigning himself to the cost of what he had to do, he created 3 shadow clones, and using the infinite darkness, bought himself enough time for a final set of hand signs. Konoha streets. The Naruto clones found themselves surrounded by sound ninja in their areas, and their chakra felt limited. Soon a drum beat rang through the air, and the voice of the original was heard throughout the village. I track my history. Bloody burn family tree. Native blood runs in me. Murderous tendencies. Keep bloodlust away. Keep violence at bay. Deny genetics. Animal DNA. Disappear into the fog. Unmultiply the tainted blood. And remember where you go at night. You got the bloody teeth and woven sight. Ancestor genocide. We were killed to save lives. Just one beast did survive. Now I live to take life. Keep yourself from me. And help what I be. I am man and beast. Your flesh I will eat. Pull right into homicide. Become the beast that lives inside. Sink your fangs into the skin. Drink the blood so you may live. Kill until you find the one. That will carry tainted sons. Death brings life into the dark. Infest the world and make your mark. Tonight. Go perpetuate. Go procreate. Ensure homicide. Keep bloodlines alive. Our children will regress. And hunger for the flesh. They can't be controlled. They hunger for your soul. Tonight. Close your eyes and become the animals you once were. The Naruto clones felt their eyes close slowly, only to snap open, their eyes glowing red, and with their weapons in hand, slaughtered the sound ninja around them, each one having the blood of the ninjas flow like a great stream. Soon, their weapons glowed bright red, their weapons were finished. The Konoha shinobi cheered and joined in the fight. Bloodlines. I'll take your life. I'll give you life. Bloodlines. Life. I'll take your life. I'll give you life. I'll take your life. Inside the barrier. Sarutobi felt a chill go down his spine, and it wasn't from the use of the Reaper Death Seal. The song was dark, even more so than anything he knew, but it didn't matter, all that did was end Orochimaru, and to put the souls of the Shadame and Nidame out of this world once more. And so Sarutobi charged forward, using his 2 clones to capture the undead cages, Enma the Monkey King in his staff form left on the ground as the ultimate soul tug-of-war began. Orochimaru spat out, "Let me go, you old bastard, don't you know your ideals mean nothing? You'll die soon." Sarutobi chuckled and said, "Funny thing about death is that everyone suffers its cruelty. Lords, beggars, genin, and cages. Your ninjutsu may allow you to stall death's hand, but I will ensure that you never create a hand sign again. I may not have enough strength to take your soul, but I can take your arms." The Reaper steadied its blade, the sole piece of Orochimaru's arms well in view of its chopping block. Sarutobi then shouted, "Do it now." The next thing Orochimaru felt was unbridled pain as his arms started to decay. Sarutobi smirked as he said, "Seal." The arm of death drew in the soul piece into the seal, solidifying it, the pattern the same as on Naruto's stomach. Orochimaru looked down and said, "So, that is the one that was able to seal away the Kyuubi." He sensed a barrier drop and the pain in his dead arms intensified. The Sound Four gathered around their leader and Kabuto arrived and said, "We need to go now, Suna bailed on us and we're being completely destroyed." Seeing no other option, Orochimaru then said, "Fine, let's go, call for a retreat." The Sound Four nodded and the group took off, except for a pair of chains to burst from the floor and wrap themselves around the red-headed girl, Taiya. She cursed loudly, as ever, and did it even more seeing the group continue on without her. She then found herself surrounded by Konoha Anbu, and the last thing she saw was brown hair with a purple ribbon tied to it. Naruto had fallen asleep that night, the funeral for those that had died in the invasion set for the next morning. He remembered a few of the things that had happened afterward. The red-headed girl, Taiya, her name was placed under his custody after Kin managed to convince her to stay. The entire household stayed quiet as the villagers, or at least the more ignorant, called for Naruto's demise. Those met a painful, if not slow end. Naruto opened his eyes and saw he was on a platform on what looked like Olympus. He saw Kratos looking out toward the storm and he slowly approached the fallen god. Kratos closed his eyes and said, "The pain of losing one close to you, it's hard, is it not?" Naruto nodded and said, "Yes, and while I wish for that bastard snake dead, I will not allow myself to be consumed with revenge. I have seen one example of what it does to a man." Kratos nodded and said, "Yes, even I am guilty. I ruined lives, cities, and even this world, all for the sake of killing Zeus. And it wasn't until the end that I realized what a fool I was." He then walked over to a spear and shield that was sitting on a pedestal. He then said, "These were the very same weapons I once used during my time as a Spartan general. And now, I hope to pass them on to you. As a Spartan must have a shield and spear." Naruto took the weapons in hand, the shield having a layer of leather covering the outer edge, the spear having a leather grip. He tested it by tossing the spear at a pillar, only for the pillar to be destroyed, and the spear returning to his hand a moment later. He had a dark grin and said, "Excellent, such a magnificent weapon." Naruto felt Kratos' hand on his shoulder and heard, "Just remember, don't let yourself be consumed with revenge, or you will never escape the darkness." Naruto nodded and vanished. Kratos looked back out into the storm, one similar to when he threw the world into chaos. He thought, "If only I learned that lesson long ago. Mother, brother, my wife, my child, Pandora, I hope you can forgive me, even though I do not deserve it." Namika's estate. Naruto's room. Naruto opened his eyes and saw a lump of red in his vision. Haku walked in and said, "It's a good thing you're awake, Naruto-sama, as the funeral is in a couple of hours." She quietly left the room and Naruto looked down, moving the red hair aside to see it was Kushina. She hugged him close, even in her sleep. She mumbled in her sleep and he heard, "Oh Naruto-kun, I love you." Naruto had a dark blush on his face and he calmly shook her awake, her eyes fluttering open. She saw him in her vision and while she still thought she was dreaming, pulled his head down to her and kissed him on the lips. His eyes widened as he felt her tongue slip in and without thinking, pressed her closer, instinct ruling over reason. They soon pulled away for air, Kushina now fully waking up. She realized what just happened and said, "Oh my, I'm sorry, I was just." Naruto placed a finger on her lips and said, "No need. As much as this may hurt to say, but I cannot see you as a mother. I've tried, but it just can't be so." Kushina looked down, and Naruto said, but that does not mean we can't be friends, and judging by that kiss, you want something more, yes? Kushina could only nod, too afraid to say anything. Naruto kissed her cheek and said, we'll talk more on this later, but for now, we must attend a funeral. Kushina looked down, remembering that bit. Hokage Mansion. A ninja and civilians of the village gathered on the roof. Everyone was in attendance, dressed in ceremonial black. Naruto and the others were some of the last to arrive, the elders and civilians glaring at Naruto in particular. He paid them no mind, as a group of clones in Spartan armor walked around the roof of the building. They wielded a shield and spear and while in formation, saluted the coffin in front of the crowd. Danzo stood in front of the coffin and said, today, we honor the memory of the men and women who died in the invasion that took place. No loss that we suffered was as great as the loss of Hiruzen Sarutobi. He was a father, teacher, and a man of honor. Though he may have fallen, his memory will live on. Naruto got up near the coffin, the villagers holding their breath. They were surprised to see Naruto kneel on one knee, make a sign of what looked like a cross, and they heard, Inaman Patrice, Espiritu Sancti. His voice was different, older. He slowly rose, his eyes turned black, the clone standing at attention. He raised his hand and caught a sake bottle headed for his head. He looked out into the crowd and saw Sasuke hiding. He had a dark smirk on his face. Danzo walked back up and said, even with such dark times, we must have a cage. The elders and I will determine just such a thing. The service ended after everyone placed white flowers next to the coffin. Naruto did something different, he placed a small shield inside the coffin, the kanji for will of fire burned onto it. The clones gave one final salute, then dispersed. A couple days later. Naruto met with Danzo, who said, Naruto-kun, as you know, we need a new Hokage. Well, I myself would like to take the position, I can't, as I'm no better than how Sarutobi was. So you are going to be sent along with Jiraiya to find Tsunade. Naruto nodded and said, I see, and can he be trusted? Danzo nodded and said, yes he can. As your father's former sensei, he not only trusts in your father's work, but looks the seal over, as well. We have received word that she will be in Tenzaku town soon. But I'm afraid that's where the good news ends. Naruto raised an eyebrow and asked, what makes you say that? Danzo gained a serious look and said, because Orochimaru is also looking for her, no doubt to get her to repair his arms. You have no time to waste. Bring one person along, that's all you can do. Now go. Naruto nodded and quickly made his way home. Namaki's estate. Naruto walked to his home and saw Jiraiya waiting for him. He also saw Kushina carrying a pack. He said, so, I guess you already know, huh? Kushina nodded and said, I do, and I want to come along. Those fights at the invasion gave me the loosening up I needed. Besides, I have a few things to say to Tsunade, just like I did to this pervert. She pointed at Jiraiya, who mumbled, disrespectful brats. Zabuza heard the commotion, and after shaking his head clear, he said, you gave one hell of a fight Naruto-sama, I hope that when you get back, we can have a match, only, fair. Naruto grinned and said, of course. The trio then set out, a blue-haired girl watching them. Down near Tenzaku. Naruto, Jiraiya and Kushina decided to stay in a hotel for the night. Well, it was Kushina's idea. Jiraiya got a single room, while Naruto and Kushina shared a room. Naruto was examining the scroll and saw one weapon he liked, the Claws of Hades, capable of ripping a person's soul from their body, gaining their power in the process. The body lives on, even without the soul, but for a limited time. It also allows the user to summon souls for a short time. Excellent. Naruto had a dark grin and Kushina shivered just looking at it. He looked further and read, the Nemesis whip uses the rotating blades to generate electricity, which then can be used to stun enemies or enhance cutting ability. Kushina sat behind him, reading over his shoulder, her body closer than expected, and saw, the Nemean Cestus, a pair of gauntlets that provide enhanced strength, as well as can cause a shock wave when slammed to the ground. Both of them could only say, holy shit. They then realized how close they were, their faces turning red. Their faces got closer until they closed the gap. Kushina and Naruto slowly kissed it first, then it started to get heated. Moving the scroll over to the side, Kushina leaned in. Naruto felt her tongue enter his mouth, his arm slowly wrapping around her waist. They heard knocking at the door, ignoring it because they thought it was Jiraiya. When it persisted, Naruto got up, much to Kushina's anger, and upon opening the door, Naruto said, well, this is a surprise, I wasn't expecting you two for a while. In the doorway, there were two figures dressed in black cloaks, the first looking like an older version of Sasuke, while the other resembled the odd union of a man and fish. They were Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hoshigaki. Itachi then said, it's nice to see you, as well Naruto-kun, how is my idiot little brother? Naruto sighed and said, as bad as it could be. He's hell-bent on killing you, and he'll do anything to ensure it happens. Itachi sighed and said, such a pity, I guess he doesn't know what truly happened, does he? Naruto shook his head and said, sadly no, so, what happens now? You two are going to try and drag the little old me back to your boss. The moment was tense, but was ruined when Kushina tackled Itachi and said, my, if it isn't Mikoto's little girl, all grown up. Itachi blushed and said, Kushina-sensei, what are you doing here? Naruto and Kisame snickered and Kisame said, to be honest kid, we were looking for you, not to capture you, but join you. Naruto raised an eyebrow and asked, oh? And what for, dare I ask? Kisame grinned and said, simple. Word of who you are has spread throughout the elemental countries quickly, and every rogue member of the Seven Swordsmen will be coming to join you. As descendants of the God of War, we will follow you anywhere, as honor binds us to follow our master. Kisame bowed, and Jiraiya saw the strange sight. Naruto looked over at Kushina and blushed as he saw her butt in the air. Kyuubi smirked and said, my love, even though she has caught your eye, I wonder how things will turn out. Itachi got Kushina off of her and said, Kushina-sensei, why did you mention that? I was going to tell him myself. Kushina giggled and said, I just couldn't help it, you've grown so much, I couldn't help but be a little excited. The group laughed, Itachi hanging her head down. They then heard, well, I finally found you, Itachi. Now I will kill you. They turned and saw Sasuke holding a lightning bolt. He held an insane look on his face and threw it straight at Itachi. Naruto jumped in the way, the golden fleece blocking the bolt and just as easily blasting it back. Sasuke moved out of the way, only to be caught by Itachi. She forced his face so he would look into her eyes and said, Tsukiyomi. She dropped Sasuke, his body not moving, his mind assaulted by the memories of the massacre. Naruto whistled and said, well, that was cold of you. Though he has been a thorn in my side for far too long. Itachi raised an eyebrow and asked, what do you mean? Before Naruto could answer, Jiraiya appeared, a scowl on his face. He said, what are you Akatsuki doing here? Itachi kept a calm demeanor and said, we are not Akatsuki anymore. We along with two others have forsaken the organization. Jiraiya was surprised and asked, oh? So why do you still wear that, and more importantly, who else abandoned the ship? Itachi blushed and said, well, to be honest, I don't exactly get a chance to get new clothes, so I'm making do. Kisame grunted and said, I just like the cloak. I was hoping to get a new one, then throw this thing out. Jiraiya's face planted and said, but that doesn't answer as to who else quit. Itachi regained her composure and said, one of them you already know Jiraiya-sama, as you trained her. The other, well, he attacked your village just a little while ago. Jiraiya felt a light bulb go on and said, so, Konan and Orochimaru. Itachi nodded and said, yes, Konan will be meeting us soon, then the three of us were going to kill Orochimaru while he was weakened. Naruto clapped his hands, and when the attention was turned to him, he said, considering we were on our way to take down that slime, perhaps it would be better to work together on this. Itachi nodded and Kisame grinned. They soon heard, dynamic entry. The kunai flew behind Jiraiya, and when he turned around, he got a sandal to the face, courtesy of Might Guy. Guy looked to where Itachi was and said, so, you tracked Naruto here, did you? Well, you won't have him. Itachi sighed and said, sorry, but despite what you think, we're not here to harm him, but help him. Naruto slapped Guy, who looked like his brain shut down. Naruto then said, take Sasuke back to the village and have him restrained like he was an S-class criminal. Chakra cuffs, the works. I don't want him to even move his big toe. Guy gave a confused look and asked, what exactly did he do? Naruto walked away, looking back only to say, he tried to kill an innocent person in cold blood. Guy turned serious, tying Sasuke up with ninja wire and instantly rushing back to the leaf. Naruto sighed and said, well now, shall we get going? This little mess must have attracted attention by now. Itachi nodded and said, I agree with Naruto-kun, we do need to go, as we need to meet Konan. The ninja packed up their things and beelined it for the next town over. Danzaku Guy. Tsunade Senju was a woman of simple tastes. Give her enough money to gamble and some sake and you wouldn't see her for a few hours. Now usually, when she gambled, she lost and she would lose a lot of money. But when she started to win, she took it as a sign of bad luck to come, as whenever she did, bad luck struck not much longer afterwards. And she had just won a huge jackpot. She called her assistant, Shizune, to grab our bags, and we left. The petite brown-haired woman arrived, suitcase in hand. They made their way to the street, arriving at their hotel. Tsunade stretched, throwing her coat onto a nearby chair, and said, my, we certainly got a lucky break. But I still have a sense of dread. Little did they know, a blue-haired woman was watching them and thought, I found them, it seems Itachi-chan will be here soon. I wonder if she got that boy she always talked about coming with her. Enzakugai Gate. The group of 5 arrived and Itachi spotted Conan waiting for them. Naruto had to suppress a blush as the woman, in his mind, looked like an angel. Her blue hair topped with a white paper flower, her chin having only a piercing on unblemished skin. Her eyes had a touch of shadow around them. Conan also showed signs of the body being a clone, as it said, Mistress is waiting for you, the targets are in a bar just a little ways from here. They already came in contact with Orochimaru. Thanks for watching my video, see you next time, till then sayonara.